Said the ready action, I guess she.
She's making sure. All right. We are recording. I will call to order the May 19th, 2026 meeting of the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. I will note that we have a quorum. We're introducing today Megan Garber as our newest commissioner. We're happy to have Megan here. She started with us yesterday, so today she will be observing. And next week she will start voting and participating. Next item, disposition of minutes of the May 6th, 2026 meeting.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, we've received a copy of the minutes of the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission for May 6, 2026. I've read those and they are more than appropriate. They are perfect. I move acceptance of the minutes as written.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, prosecutor's recommendations.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, we've received a report from the prosecutor regarding fines on alcohol and tobacco fines collected. There were actually 35 individual fines paid for a total of $24,500. There are two worthy of note. Both, and it has been the case for a number of months now, have to do with smokable hemp products. The first comes from Indianapolis on October 14th. Officers conducted an undercover investigation and found smokable hemp products there. Over 75 products of both flower and pre-roll form. A violence was written and the parties agreed to a $1,000 civil penalty and a 7-day suspension of the tobacco certificate. Second is from Greensburg, Indiana, the Greensburg Tobacco and Vape on November 14, 2025. An undercover investigation revealed smokable hemp products with high THC levels. They found 100 smokable hemp products in pre-roll and flower form. Parties have agreed to a $1,000 civil penalty and a 7-day suspension of the tobacco certificate. I move approval of the prosecutor's report.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Hearing judges' recommendations, none today. Consideration of applications. There are 557 renewal applications.
We've received 557 renewal applications. I incorporate by reference that list of 557 applications for renewal, which have been recommended by local boards and reviewed by the staff with authority of the commission. And hereby move approval of the same pending any needed escrow hearing and inclusion of this list as part of the minutes of this meeting of May 19, 2026.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, there are 78 new and transfer applications.
I incorporate by reference this list of 78 permit applications for new permit or applications for change in ownership, location, or both of existing permits, which have been recommended by local boards, reviewed by a committee, by a commissioner, and hereby move approval of same pending a final floor plan approval by the state excise police and any escrow hearing if needed, and inclusion of this list of 74 permits in the minutes of May 19, 2026.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 50 catering applications.
I incorporate by reference this list of 50 permit applications for catering and hereby move for approval of same in the inclusion of this list of 55 applications as part of the minutes of the May 19, 2026 meeting.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 38 direct wine shipper applications.
Finally, I incorporate by reference this list of 38 new and renewal direct line shipper permits and hereby move for approval of those 38 applications and inclusion of this list as part of the minutes of May 19, 2026.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, waivers of fees for letters of extension.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I move that we accept the waivers of fees for letters of extension that were accumulated.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RC 8400191, Wayne Newton Post number 346 of the American Legion Incorporated. This is a renewal with the local board voting 2-2.
This comes to us from Vigo County. We did hear this on our May 6th agenda, and we continued it, and legal did send a very nice letter to the permittee asking for a corrective action plan since they had had violations. The corrective action plan has been received, but the corrective action plan, I don't think they fully understood what we were looking for. They stated that they had let staff go that were involved in the violations. And while that is a good thing, if the staff is not correctly administering the laws and regs of Indiana, to move on to staff that will. We also need in the corrective action plan details about what they are doing in their business to adhere to the laws and rules that they violated in their notice violations that they received from excise. I'll just mention a few of those things. They were unauthorized beverages that they were had bought and were selling those. They were refilling bottles. They had non-member sales, and they had a floor plan alteration. Would like something in the corrective action plan that states what they're doing to make sure that those items and any others noted in the violations are not a problem in the future. So asking legal to contact them one more time to correct the corrective action plan, to amend it with attention to what was in the notice of violations. So I'm going to reschedule this for our June 2nd meeting, and hopefully we'll have that new cap. And that is my motion for RC 8400191, Wayne Newton Post number 346 of the American Legion, Inc.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to point out, and I recognize and think we all do that this is a volunteer organization of veterans, which we want to support, but they have to start doing things right. As I recall, we've heard this several times, I think, and I recall one statement was made that they may consider closing because their population is down. I'd like to see them address that. I'm not part of your motion, but if they're intending to stay open, they need to really follow the rules and get things done. If they're intending on closing, then say that and say that they will do their best to comply. And I just find there's a big difference between really staying open, having to run it right, and just holding it open until they can find out how to discharge their responsibilities.
One more thing, I didn't note that they are operating off of a second extension, which will expire July the 7th. So they should be fine until our June 2nd meeting.
I think another way of looking at it is, we know what happened in the past. That was covered at local board. It was covered in the corrective action. What are the business practices that you've put in place? What are the standard operating procedures to ensure that the only alcohol is coming in from a wholesaler, that you're following the guest days, that you're not selling to non-members? What are the business practices moving forward? Are those in writing? Have you trained staff on them? Who's doing the checks on those? So that's kind of what I'm looking for here.
I agree.
Anything further?
No.
Not seeing anything. There's a motion to continue this until June 2nd. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is RR 1802644 Big Shots Pub Incorporated, renewal of the local board voting 3-0 to deny.
Yes, this comes to us from Delaware County. There is a new manager of this, operating on the manager's questionnaire who took over on July 1st. He did appear for the hearing. I'll note that the owner of the business did not appear for the local board hearing. This permit had previously been, issued 1-year extensions. Had not received full extensions because of violations that they keep receiving. They received a violation in 23, 24, and 25, all for public nuisance, mainly dealing with the parking lot area. I will note that the parking lot area, if you have a parking lot, and they did state that this parking lot is leased to, in addition to the building, that it is part of your permitted premises. And you need to patrol it just like you do inside. They have been using security, outside and inside. Sounds like they're having continued problems each year, which lead to the main violations. And that is, allowing people to congregate in the parking lot. They're having parties out there. Underage people are there. They're bringing their own alcohol and drugs in to the location. I noted in one comment in one of the public nuisance violations, there were some 100 people in the parking lot area. They state that they have, at least in some points in time, 3 to 4 security guards in the parking lot. They do call police and ask for help to clear the parking lot when they are having problems. But they have had a person shot in the parking lot, and they did have at least 1, maybe 2 people who were hit by a vehicle on purpose in the parking lot. So it has become a violent area. Not sure why they can't patrol the parking lot area better. Don't know why they couldn't check IDs before you can come into the parking lot area. People who are there parked, if they're not coming into the business, I'm not sure why you can't move them along, especially if this is your area that you've leased and you're in control of. Because of the repeated problems 3 years in a row with public nuisance that they do not have under control, I believe that is why the local board voted 3-0 to deny. And I'm going to move that we uphold the denial of the renewal of the permit for RR 1802644 Big Shots Pub Inc.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 2843176. Barberries LLC. This is a transfer with the local board voting 3-0 to deny following failures to appear.
This comes to us from Lytton, Indiana, and as our chair stated, is a transfer. The new owners did fail to appear 3 times at the Greene County local board hearings. The first one was scheduled for February the 2nd, and 3 times during the last several board meetings, they have failed to appear. I move that we deny the transfer of RR 2843176 Barbary LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 4943207, The Point 2.0 LLC. This is a transfer with the local board voting 4-0 to deny.
This is also here in Indianapolis, and the local board did recommend denial on May the 4th at the local board meeting. There was some discussion about removing the manager of this business or managers. I think we did get some notice that the managers may be removed, but I think they were denied, they failed to appear at the local board for hearings on this transfer, and the local board denied them for failure to appear, and because of questionable managers, I'm gonna move that we uphold the denial for the transfer for RR 49-43207, the .2.0 LLC.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. The next item for discussion is RR 4943672, Trix LLC. This is a transfer with local board voting 3-1 to approve for 1 year.
Yes, this is also here in Marion County. They did show up for the local board hearing. They did question the owner pretty extensively about a possible silent owner, investor in this business. I was a little confused by his testimony, which said that someone had given him money. It has not been refunded as of yet. I didn't understand if there's not another owner, why this money has not yet been refunded, and I think needs to be refunded. They did this suspected maybe silent owner that has not been disclosed to us, has been in the business and has indicated to others and staff at the business that he is an owner, and they have referenced him as being an owner. But the owner that showed up at the local board says, no, he is the only one. He stated he's had some problems with this guy inserting himself when it's not wanted, and representing himself as an owner when he is not. I'm going to move that we okay a 1-year renewal. Going to ask for strict compliance on that other owner. If it is found that there is another owner, I would move at that time to reconsider this permit, since the single owner has indicated he's the only one. So I move strict compliance, only this one owner, 1 year renewal for RR 49-43672 Trix LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 7141006, Dorbin Incorporated. This comes on with a request to reinstate.
Yes, we did get a request to reinstate on May the 4th. They do not have any violations. This permit had previously been made dead. They have sent in their renewal now for the July 23rd, 25 to July 23rd, 26 renewal period. I will note that they are within their 90-day window for the next renewal cycle, and that is due. I am going to move that we do grant the reinstatement and notice, have legal or processor make sure to note that we need the new renewal to be filed soon. And that is for RR 7141006 Dorbin Inc.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 1123795, Mario Bros Incorporated. This matter comes on for an extension request.
This is from Brazil, Indiana. They did expire on April the 1st. They have had 2 full 90 days extensions. They are working on their 3rd 90-day extension that was issued on April the 15th. And there have been 3 tranches issued, and the third one expired today on May the 19th. They have now satisfied paperwork requirements, and they are scheduled before the Clay County Local Board on June the 6th. I'm going to move that we grant an extension until our meeting after the Clay County Local Board. So that would be until June the 16th. I'd like to hear the discussion at the local board on the renewal of this permit. I will make that a strict compliance that they do need to show for the 6/8 local board. If not, I would personally recommend no further extensions. I will note that this permittee has had violations over the 6 of them over the past 10 years, mainly dealing with bootlegging and employee permits and training. These are things that they should easily be able to take care of. It's tough to see a permittee that continues having the same problems over and over again. But I'm going to give them a chance to go in front of the local board and address these violations, hear what Clay County has to say, and then we'll get a second chance to look at them on our June 16th meeting. And that is the motion for RR 1123795 Mario Brothers Inc.
I will reluctantly second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion?
I just want to state generally, I've been consistent about this, more than 2 extensions I don't understand. Particularly in this one, I don't understand, but they are scheduled in the next few weeks, so hopefully that will resolve itself, but I'm reluctantly supporting this.
I'm reluctant as well. They failed to appear for the May local board hearing. Same as the paperwork issues, getting your applications filed timely. If you can't follow the simple instructions, how do you comply with the rest of selling alcoholic beverages? So I'll vote in favor, but if they fail to appear in June, I'll be a no on any further extensions. So all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 4938160 In Zone Bar and Grill LLC. This comes on for reconsideration of an extension, continued from the May 6th meeting. Last meeting, we requested an updated corrective action plan and we received that. I'll open that for discussion.
Yes, I'll note that this comes to us from here in Indianapolis. It did expire on September the 9th. It had a first extension from September the 10th through December the 8th. It had a second 90-day extension from January the 6th to April the 6th. And it has been granted a third extension from April the 7th to July the 7th. This permittee has had violations. We asked for a corrective action plan due to the violations. We received the first corrective action plan back in December when we were issuing that first corrective action plan. And then they had a violation. And then in the violation, they were not following what they had set up for us in their corrective action plan. So we asked why that had happened. And we got a supplemental corrective action plan, and that was on April the 6th. And then after that, they received another violation. And we received a new corrective action plan regarding that violation. And I will say, I have not seen a permittee ever have a third corrective action plan. They state in their corrective action plans what they're doing for security and other things. And then we see in the violations that it appears that is not being followed. People are not being screened. It looks like there's groups of people who are just waved in to the bar without screening at all. Which they, of course, have given to us as what their procedures are that they have in place. Those do not look like they have been followed. I am going to move, since there have been 2 new violations since we first started dealing with this. I'm going to move that we, in the extension that was issued for July the 7th, and pull that and end that violation as of today, May the 19th.
Is it in the violation? You mean
And thank you.
in the extension or suspended? Okay.
In the extension, the 3rd extension that we issued for 90 days, that was in July the 7th, that we, pull that, and it will end today on May the 19th. And that is for RR 4938160 End Zone Bar and Grill LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to comment that I agree with the recommendation from Commissioner Magnan that the Indiana State Excise Report EX 26005619, which covered a period of time, April 12th to April 23rd, and lists violations going back to September, even in February of 2025. There have just been too many violations, too many inconsistencies, and in responsible operation. I support them.
I would just note the corrective action plans, when people swear to us, they're gonna do A, B, and C. There's a level of trust there that what they swear to us is going to be what they do on a Friday, Saturday night. So that's my reasoning here, is that we have to maintain that level of trust, that when you say I'm gonna do certain things, that is how you're going to operate. With that, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 0201550 Sunset Catering Incorporated. This comes on, it's a request to reinstate continued from our April 7th meeting. On April 7th, we voted to reinstate this permit. I will note, I believe that vote was a 2-to-1, with the vice chairman voting no on the reinstatement. At that time, this was the 2nd time this permit had to request reinstatement following failure to renew. We continued it once for the permit holder to clarify some information. There was information that they had to be in escrow, or that they couldn't renew because they weren't selling enough to get liquor liability insurance, but they were in escrow. So 2 things: they shouldn't have been selling at all, and second, they didn't need liability insurance to renew.
When you're in escrow.
When you're in escrow, yes.
Yeah.
But on April 7th, we did vote to reinstate. I went back and listened to that meeting. The motion was to reinstate in escrow. Commissioner McGinn specifically stated that the permit cannot be legally used. And we stated that within 30 days, they needed to file completed applications for past due renewals and fees with no missing information, and reset it for today's date for consideration of whether that had been done. On April 17th, in response to a complaint filed with Indiana State Excise Police, they visited the location. The complaint was alleging that they were selling without a permit. Upon entering the location, the violation alleges that there was a large amount of beer and wine in a cooler, open, and that they were setting up for a baby shower with alcoholic beverages at the location. The 100% owner was present for that incident. and so they were issued a violation, which is pending. In the meantime, they have filed their completed renewal application as we asked them to. Given the history of this permit, the total disregard for the need for an alcoholic beverage permit, and again, the lack of trust between what's happening here and what's actually happening at the location, I'm going to actually move that we set this matter for revocation hearing. I would move that it be set before the vice chairman, on June 4th, 2026 at 11 a.m. This motion is being made pursuant to IC 7.1-3-23-5 for refusing to comply with provisions of Title 7.1 and a direct order from the commission, and pursuant to IC 7.1-3-1-6.4F for failing to maintain the insurance coverage required by the commission.
So,
Been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion?
I think because I'm assigned this, I will abstain from voting on this.
Anything further? All right, not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no.
I abstained.
Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 4904389 RCI Dining Services Indiana Incorporated. This matter comes on for an extension request continued from the 421 commission meeting.
Yes, this permittee did have a pending violation, and as of today, that has been resolved. So, don't need to deal with that anymore, which is great. They've asked for an extension. They have had one extension from April the 21st to today, May the 19th. And I'm going to move that we grant the rest of that 90-day extension for RR 4904389 RCI Dining Services Indiana Inc.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I would just note this, is set for local board on June 1st. The violations are resolved, so I don't see a reason it can't move forward on June 1st. So I would expect it to go on that date, and we'll take into consideration for future extensions, whether it moves forward or continues to be delayed. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is DL 1333650, Bardian Incorporated. This comes on following denial of escrow with failures to appear.
Yes, this permit expired June the 5th of 2025. It was set for escrow hearings to continue that. It did.
So we had two escrow hearings. Today is for consideration of compliance with the orders to appear on those two hearings.
So there was a failure to appear on March the 24th of 2026 and April 28th of 2026. And based on those two failure to appears, escrow was denied. The permit was placed on our agenda today to make it inactive for no shows on those 2 days. And because of the no-shows, I move that we make this permit inactive for DL 1333650 Bardan Inc.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. I will just note, we haven't received anything in between that time and today's date relating to why the permit holder was not required to appear for those
I
hearings.
thought I was supposed to be if we had to talk about it. That's what the letter.
No, we had. Right now, we're gonna move on with our commission agenda. If you have questions, you can talk to our legal staff after the hearing today. The escrow was denied at the last escrow hearing, and today's consideration was whether to revoke the permit. Next item for consideration is RR 22040079 TW Indiana LLC. Again, this matter comes on following escrow denial after 2 failures to appear.
Yes, this one also is scheduled for the March 24th and April 28th. Escrow hearings, both for failure to appears. I will note that in March, they did update their mailing address with us, so it should be current. Not sure why they didn't show up for those 2 escrow hearings. And I'm gonna move that, we, make this permit inactive for RR 22040079 TW Indiana LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 2934444 Larks Incorporated. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, they did have some, missing paperwork with us. For the most part, their renewal is complete. I will note that with the Secretary of State, office, their entity is dissolved. So they do need to take care of that, during this next extension period. The permit had a first extension from, it did expire February the 6th of 26. It had a first extension from February 7th of 26 to May the 7th of 26. And I'm going to move that we grant the 90-day extension. And during that 90 days, they need to address the Secretary of State's dissolved entity. And that is for RR 2934444 Lark Inc.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
May I comment?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
That's all
I'll open this for discussion.
I just want to point out this whole issue of administratively dissolved by the Indiana Secretary of State has significant legal consequences. It means there is no legal corporation that the operation of the restaurant Lauren and Mary Mexican Grill is protected by corporate structures. And that means the individuals, first of all, are personally responsible. Secondly, I'm not sure that the insurance, if they have insurance, covers it. So anybody who may be listening, others who may know of a permittee, make sure that your corporate structure is solid. In this case, they need to be very concerned. We just kind of move forward with this, but there are legal consequences to having your corporate structure dissolved. And I just want to point that out. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item is RR 6437015 Red LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, their paperwork is now complete with us. They are scheduled for the local board in front of Porter County on June the 11th. They do not have any violations. This will be a second 90-day extension, but I move that we grant that for RR 6437015 REDD LLC.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is WH 4930104 and WH 4930105 D&E Spirits LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request. We did have an investigatory hearing on this matter and are considering the renewal. I would move that we grant 90-day extensions for both permits and set this on our July 21st, 2026 agenda for consideration on the renewal.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 2921430 El Rodeo number 18 LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, this initially expired, on February the 2nd, 26. They have received extensions. They, are now scheduled for the local board on June the 9th. They had, one violation back in 21 for serving a minor and employment of someone younger than 18. And that's an old violation, and I'm gonna move that we grant a second 90-day extension for RR 2921430 El Rodeo number 18 LLC.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. The next item for discussion is RR 4905850 Monami Incorporated. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, this is here in Indianapolis. They did have 2 violations in the past, in 23 for records of photo of adult entertainers, and 24 sales stand talks, original containers, public nuisance. They now have their paperwork complete. They are scheduled in front of the local board on June the 1st. And we have received a corrective action plan from them. And I'm going to move that we grant an extension until June the 16th of 2026, which will be our next date after the local board to deal with hearing about the renewal on this permit from the local board. And that is my motion for RR 4905850 Monami Inc.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I would just note that it's set for June 1st. It's previously been continued at local board, I think 5 times. So I expect that it'll go on June 1st, and I'll take into consideration future extensions if it doesn't move forward on that date.
Sure.
With that, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is DL 2934270 Indie Liquors LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request, following denial at local board and timely appeal.
Yes, this was denied by the local board on March the 10th. We did uphold the denial here at the ATC on March the 17th. There was a pre-hearing scheduled on this on May the 7th. They have another pre-hearing scheduled on June the 11th. We have received a corrective action plan. Since it appears to be moving along, and they have received no violations, I'm going to move that we grant a 90-day extension and ask for them to move along in resolving the violation that's pending or set it for a hearing. And that is my motion for DL 2934270 Indie Liquors LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and, well, I'll second.
Thank you.
Can you withdraw your second?
I will.
I'll second on that one. Is there any further discussion?
I'm going to abstain.
All right, I will note that the vice chairman is sitting as hearing judge on this matter. I'll just note this is set for a second pre-hearing on June 11th. It seemed like from the corrective action plan that was filed, there may be an intent to file a request for remand. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, I don't know. But I would ask that by that June 11th date, we either get the request for remand or set it for an appeal hearing, to keep the matter moving. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no.
And I abstain.
And I'll note the abstention. Next item for discussion is MM08299942 DTA Farms LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request. This is the fourth extension request.
As this comes to us from Carroll County, this involves an owner who is deceased who owned 60% of the business. It's been expired for almost a year. It expired June the 30th of last year. They had a first extension from August the 18th of 25 to November the 16th of 25. The second extension from November 17th, 25 to February the 14th of 26. A third extension from February 24th to May the 25th. I'm gonna ask legal if they will contact the courts and check on this case and see what's happening to, move it along with having it decided. It has, as the chair states, it has received 3 former 90-day extensions. We don't like to issue that many. I realize the courts may have some reason to, hold this up for a while due to the deceased person's estate, but would like to get an update as to what's going on and when it may be decided. So 90-day extension for MM08299942 DTA Farms LLC plus legal contacting the courts. That's my motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
And as I have continually stated, I'm not in favor of extensions past the second extension. This is the fourth, but having been involved with the courts before, I understand why that delay may be happening. It would be nice to find out why. This is a small county, so I'm surprised that it would take that long, but sometimes complications occur in the state. So I would support the motion, but I'm reluctantly doing so.
I would just note, there are occasions, I don't know what's happening with this either. There are occasions that we transition the ownership from an individual to a state of the individual and renew, as long as we know who's operating, who's managing. So that may be a possibility to get them off the extensions and to a renewal. So it may be not the courts that can help with that directly, but maybe the personal representative, the attorneys may be able to help with that. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, happy to say that MD 490007 Daredevil Brewing Company LLC, we received the missing information and don't need to consider that extension. Next item is RR 3641968, the Brooklyn Pizza Company LLC. That matter comes on for an extension request.
This comes to us from Jackson County. They did expire February the 4th. It's a beer and wine permit. They had a first extension on February 5th to May the 5th. And their paperwork is now complete. They are before the local board on June the 24th. They have no violations. I move for a 90-day extension for RR 3641968, the Brooklyn Pizza Company LLC.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 4332120 JST Solutions LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, this comes to us from Kosciuszko County. They did expire February the 17th of 26. I'll note that this is a river and lake permit, beer, wine, and liquor. They are in the process of trying to obtain a full RR permit and want to relinquish this river and lake permit when that new one is issued. Just note that for the record, there are no violations on this permit, but they do owe us several things. They have a tax protest from the Department of Revenue, which needs to be resolved before we issue this next 90-day extension. Once that we do receive that, then I'm going to make that we grant a 90-day extension. I will also note that this entity is dissolved with the Secretary of State's office. That needs to be resolved. And they do need a property tax clearance from their local county in Kosciuszko. So again, 90-day extension is my motion. Once the Department of Revenue tax protest is cleared, and address the other two items during that period of time that are missing, dissolved entity and property tax. And that is for RR 43322120 JST Solutions LLC.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I'll just incorporate my previous statement about dissolved corporations. They have no formal corporate protection. They are personally liable regardless of the issues of whether they want to dissolve this permit and transfer it, whatever they want to do. They don't have a corporate structure right now. And I again, that's why I mentioned before, there are two in this session that this applies. Get your corporate structure taken care of, folks.
I will note, I think the new permit has new owners.
Oh, okay.
It's a river and lake, so you can't transfer it. You have to apply new. So I think that's why there's the new permit application, but
Do you have a name on that?
the corporate name is Goose Lake Hospitality and Provisions LLC. I don't know who I didn't write down the individual owners of each.
I don't recall doing, I do the, as you know, I do the Riverview front. Maybe I did that. There have been a number. Anyway, I'll look.
But so that's what's happening with the new application and why there's a new application there. It's been moved for a 90-day extension, after we received the tax clearance. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is R 29334748, the nail studio at Fisher Station LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request. Well, actually, I have a note that no extension is necessary.
Right.
Oh, because we approved the renewal of the permit today.
Yes.
Next item is DL 4934224, Bradbury Petroleum Incorporated. This matter comes on for an extension request.
It's here in Indianapolis. This is a beer and wine grocery store. They did expire January the 11th of this year. They now have their paperwork complete with us. They are scheduled for the local board on June the 6th. They did receive a first extension from January the 12th of 26 to April the 12th of 26. They have received a letter of authority from May 14th to May 19th. They have no violations. I move for a 90-day, a second 90-day extension for DL 4934224 Bradbury Petroleum.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 2941830 Hughes Wine Bar LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
This is a permit from Hamilton County. It's a beer and wine retailer. They did expire January 28th of 26. They had a first extension from February the 5th of 26 to May the 6th of 26. They have no violations. They're now scheduled for the local board on June the 9th. I move that we grant a second 90-day extension for RR 2941830 Q's Wine Bar LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, or is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 3041836 Depot Street Investments LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Comes to us from Greenfield. They did expire on March the 12th of 26. This is a 210-1 permit. They have a first extension from March the 12th of 26 to June the 10th of 26. They have no violations. I move for a second 90-day extension for RR 3041836 Depot Street Investments LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 91-41188, Route 421 Diner LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
This comes to us from White County. It is a 210-1 permit. They did expire February 10th of 26. They had a first extension from February the 11th of 26 and May the 11th of 26. They have had a letter of authority from May the 11th of 26 to May the 19th of 26. They have no violations. And I move that we grant a second 90-day extension for RR 91-41188 Route 421 Diner LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. There are 3 to add to our original agenda. They are DL 4533805, Normal Incorporated. That is a request to reinstate. RH 203051, Hospitality Incorporated. That's an extension request. And RR 3342004, that is also an extension request. Can we take it by consent to add those to the agenda?
Consent.
I will show those added to the agenda by consent. I will call DL 4533805, Normal Incorporated. This matter comes on for a request to reinstate.
Yes, this comes to us from Lake County. It's rather an interesting case. The permit had been expired to October 17th of 26, but we received a surrender of this beer and wine permit. We received paperwork where the owner had signed stating that they did not want this permit any longer, to make it dead, and we did make it dead. Now we've received an affidavit from the owner stating that he did not complete that affidavit, he wasn't aware of it, and he did not sign it, which I don't think I've ever seen before here, so this is a rather strange, unique situation for us. Because they have no violations, and I see no other reason to not reactivate it, I am going to move that we reactivate DL 4533805 Normal Inc.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I have. I'm very concerned about this. The fact that someone may have forged a signature and presented a document to the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, which took the unusual step, I think, of turning back a permit and all the work that needs to be done with that, all the notification, the legal complications. And now on May 14th, Mr. Singh, who is the owner of that permit, signing under oath, under penalty of perjury, that it was submitted and forged and signed without his knowledge, or I don't think we should just blithely accept. Someone files something, withdraws a permit, and now someone files something else saying that that was a forgery. I think I would like to have some statement that this matter has been referred to law enforcement, to the prosecutor's office, and that they're pursuing forged documents to a governmental agency, Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. I think this is very troubling. I think you said this is unusual. I think it's more than unusual. I think it's criminal. I think it's troubling. And for him just to sign a document and think, well, let's do over. Let's ignore it. I don't know what that would add to your motion.
We can refer it to excise for investigation.
Okay.
I don't know if they have a suspect in mind, but you could do at least I don't know, I can't say how excise would move forward and investigate, but there are handwriting samples. Was it his, was it not? Does he have a suspect? Was it somebody else's? Because again, we hear there's money in these permits. People value these permits, and the allegation here is that a felony was committed, in surrendering this back to us. So I guess right now, there's a motion to reinstate is the simplest
Yeah.
form. Are you also asking that this be referred to Indiana State Excise?
Yes, I get, to me, when I read this and thought about it, there's something sneaky going on here, and I can't mention what it is. But it's forgery, it's a felony, it's illegal, it's a fraud upon this commission, and I don't think we should just say, okay, well, we're reinstated, move on.
I think forgeries, altered documents, signing other people's names, even if it may not be criminal because you say you have permission, it's become excessive here.
Right.
Our processors here are multiple times a week having to police. Individuals come in and they fill out a document in someone else's name and they sign it and go, oh, well, they said I could sign it. Well, that may not necessarily meet the criminal definition of a forgery if you had permission. But on these forms, if you are committing someone to holding the permit, having the responsibilities of the permit, agreeing to waive Fourth Amendment rights. And some of these individuals have been told previously, quit doing it, and they continue to do it. And if you can't follow those simple instructions in our lobby here, what are you gonna do with your permit out in the world? So anyway, that's a little bit off topic, but I think
it's right on topic. Yeah.
I have started considering, do we need to ask for IDs when people come in, just to verify you are who you say you are when you're filling out a document? That wouldn't have helped in this case. I went and looked at the documents, just a scan of it, and it had the folds in it as if it had been mailed in,
Oh.
not submitted up front. So it wouldn't necessarily have helped in that case, but I think we're seeing very troubling trends that everybody's filling things out for everybody else and waiving other people's Fourth Amendment rights and committing people to responsibilities of permits and going, oh, well. It's,
Can I take this one really far step? We have situations where lawyers file documents stating things that the permittee should be signing. And lawyers need to be cautious about signing a document for a permittee promising or stating A, B, C will happen. It may be a stretch, but I think lawyers need to be aware of this.
yeah.
So,
Well, so the simplest thing right now is that we have a motion to reinstate.
Right.
can I ask, I could withdraw that motion if we wanted to continue, ask excise to review and continue for like a month?
Well,
Would we want to go that direction, or do we want to make it active? If excise has information, we should make it active.
I didn't look at
Maybe we should look at what they're sending back to us.
is this permit active?
No,
Is the place open?
well, I hope not. Well,
Yeah.
they don't have an alcohol
I don't-
permit. Now, it's a DL, so I don't know if they operate, a grocery. I can't remember if it's package store or
Right.
grocery but I suppose they could have a grocery without.
it's a
alcohol.
grocery or convenience store.
Okay, so they could have a grocery without alcohol at the moment. I don't know.
But could they have alcohol? Like,
No.
No, they haven't, they did not time. Well, no, hold on. It was mid-permit year.
Yeah.
When it was surrendered.
October 17th of 26 is when they expired. But they had surrendered the permit
Someone,
well, that's the point.
to whoever signed it. And
So-
now we have the affidavit stating that they didn't sign it. So we received this order to rescind.
So we rescinded at their request, which means they don't have
An alcohol.
an alcohol permit. If the permittee didn't sign, did they know that? And were they still selling?
Right,
I don't know.
right. He
Um,
could be operating and not know that it was surrendered, in theory, according to our records. I think it's bizarre.
so now the possibilities are we reinstate. And I guess we reinstate to active because the permits, maybe we need to continue it, get more information. Are they intending to be active? Are they intending to put it in escrow?
Are they open?
Are they open? Are they selling?
Yeah.
And then have they referred it? Because again, they're alleging a very serious crime was committed. Have they referred it to law enforcement? If they've already referred it, then I guess there's no point in us having excise start an investigation. All right, so right now there's still a motion.
And I'll withdraw my motion.
I'm seconding you for throw.
And I'm gonna move that we continue this case to January the 16th,
January.
June the 16th. Thank you. I'm 26, and we ask excise to investigate the order that we received, resending this, and the order that we received to make it active, and any other information they may have with local law enforcement or anybody else about this permit that may have been forged. And that's my motion for DL 4533805 near Mall Inc.
I'll second that, but I have a comment again.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Assuming that this was an operational permit in this county at this location, and somebody unknown to the owner submitted a surrender, it is conceivable they're still selling. Because they didn't know. Now, they do know now that somebody surrendered and then it's withdrawn. I would like excise to go out and find out if they're selling there. As part of their investigation. This just is strange to me.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
this took a twist.
Next item for discussion is RH 2030051 Home Hospitality Incorporated. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, this comes to us from Elkhart. This permit did expire December the 2nd of 25. They did receive a first extension from January the 13th of 26 to April the 13th of 26. I will note that they need a property tax clearance form, the F1 from their county. And they are now scheduled for the local board to look at renewal on June the 18th. I'm going to move that we grant a second 90-day extension for RH 2030051 AUM Hospitality Inc.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 3342004, the Parcel LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request. There were issues with the ownership that was filed on the renewal. This is a second extension request. We now have documentation on the ownership that I believe is under review. So I would move, and there's no violation history with the permit. So I would move granting a 90-day second extension for those keeping track on ownership issues. Well, the ownership documentation is reviewed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. There's one possibly for reconsideration, and that is permit, RR 2204079, CW Indiana LLC. That was a failure to appear twice for, escrow. Last week, we did receive documentation forwarded to the commission from, Attorney Daphne Whitmire. They requested an extension before we made our final decision in an email from May 13th. And then provided updated information on May 15th that they had a fire. We did hear from them, and I don't know if we considered that when we, denied the permit. I'm not sure.
So,
It indicates, I'll read this for the commission. I requested that the district operator attend the, March 24th hearing, as the owner was on, or the director of human resources is who we're getting this, information from. On medical leave at the time, the subsequent notice was issued, which limited the ability to respond in a timely manner.
so, sounds like we need to, give them one more chance to reappear for escrow. I don't know if next week is early enough to notice them, or if we should schedule for June, end of June.
May want to do that. I note that this is from Louisville, Kentucky, the Director of Human Resources, Tumbleweed Restaurants. Hope that factors in.
I'm gonna just make my motion that if we can get notice to them, if it's possible, I ask legal. If they can appear for May the 26th, put them on for May 26th. If not, then they do need to appear for the June 23rd escrow hearing. So move that, that permit, which is permit number RR 2204079, be given one additional chance to be heard at escrow and remand for the sooner date of either next week or the end of June.
That would be May 27th.
May 27th.
The holiday.
Thank you. May 27th or June 23rd. Thank you. That's my motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is inactive files. There are 24 permits to be made inactive from the May 6th meeting. I will note that we did remove RR 7142805
Which one?
after it's listed on the agenda as a removed permit.
Okay,
I'm just noting that it was removed.
okay.
After we received the renewal, is there a motion?
I incorporate by reference these lists of permit applications to be made deaf and hereby move for approval of same and inclusion of the list of part of the minutes of this meeting of May 19th, 2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. I will just note there are 15 permits to be made inactive on June 2nd, 2026 if we don't receive the renewals. policy determinations, readoption or consideration of rule 32.1. I will note that on March 12th, 2026, the ATC hosted a very well-attended public hearing to solicit input regarding the readoption of Rule 32.1. Hearing testimony in person was overwhelmingly in support of readopting Rule 32.1 without changes. The commission also received several instances of written testimony in favor of maintaining group purchasing subject to certain changes to the existing rule. I believe we received two written comments requesting changes. We also received additional comments in writing in favor of readopting the current version. This rule is currently noticed for readoption this year, which will include future notice postings and comment periods on the readoption. So after consideration of the written and oral testimony regarding 905 IAC 1-32.1, I would move that the commission recommend proceeding with readoption and the steps required with that of 905 IAC 32.1 without changes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. As was just noted a moment ago, the escrow hearings for next week are moved to Wednesday, May 27th instead of the Tuesday due to the Memorial Day holiday. Now, not seeing any other items on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Yeah.
Done good.
As well.